What can you threaten black people with that we haven't already lived through before? We already couldn't go to your schools. We already couldn't live in your neighborhood. We already couldn't shop in your store. We already had to sit in the back of the bus. We already filled out your jail. We already had our zip codes redlined. We already had our votes suppressed. We already had our families separated. We already had our men profiled. We already had our women objectified. What you think you gonna do new that's gonna be able to intimidate us? Black people got soundtrack music. Yea, though we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we will fear no evil. It is their master plan to make you live in fear so you don't fight back, so you don't lift up your voice, so you don't kick against the prick. Fear is the only weapon that white supremacy has.
Growing up as a black woman in this country, I quickly learned what it means to be a minority. And not just in numbers, but in opportunities and understanding. And this election was just a reminder of how far we really still have to go. But if there's one thing that I learned, is that resilience isn't just about surviving. It's about thriving despite the odds. I've learned to embrace my voice even when it feels like no one's listening. I've learned to create my own opportunities and build a table when there wasn't a seat for me. And I've learned the power of community because we're stronger together than we are alone. I know so many of you feel this too. Whether you're grieving the election or just trying to make it through another day, I see you. And you're not alone in this. Together we can find strength, healing, and a way forward. What's one lesson that life has taught you about resilience?
They be like, black people, what are you going to do when he comes for you? Don't you know that you're next? And we be like, actually, we were first. We are living in dark times. What are you going to do? What we always done. Take scraps and make chicken wings. They give us pig intestines. We make them into chitlins. We took corn and made cornbread. We took peanuts and made butter. We sang through the darkness. We made genre after genre after genre of music. Everything we touch is hot. Everything we touch turns into gold. We literally built it from the ground up. And here we are, still standing.
Hey y'all, did y'all know that only a president can inflict martial law? But he needs just cause to do that. But did you also know that only he can take martial law off the table? So that means he can keep martial law on for as long as he see fit. So in 2 years, when we want to vote these spineless ass congressmen out of office and put people in there that'll stand up to him, that's if he lasts 2 years, that he can still say we under martial law. And during martial law, there's no elections going on. You can't do elections during martial law. So he's trying to bait black people to go out there and do violence and protest so he can say, oh, martial law, so it won't be no elections. Then that motherfucker can stay in there forever. In 4 years, he can say, oh, we still under martial law. That's what he's trying to do. So I'm going to keep putting videos out there and say, black people, stay in the house. The system been doing us wrong for so fucking long, and now the system needs us for violence. It needs our attitude. It needs our violence. It needs us to get angry. So they trying to release people that they know will make us angry. So just stay angry and just stay sitting. Because by doing nothing, we're disrupting this natural flow of America. America is being disrupted. Because without black people doing what we do best, the system is breaking down. And not to mention Trump breaking down the system by his damn self. But it needs us. So we ain't going to give him what he wants. Release them all. That's all I say. We still ain't going to do nothing. They'll probably get theirs in the street, but we ain't going to do nothing. We ain't going to go out there. We're sitting down and doing nothing because right now we're fucking winning this shit. And we could play the long game. We've been playing this game since America started. We can start this game over again.
Yeah, their playbook was black people fighting in the streets all summer. They wanted a summer of violence. They wanted all those video clips of black people being violent. And the entire black community collectively in one voice heard their ancestors say, rest, stay home. Don't go out in the streets. They collectively heard it, and they've all listened, and it was right. They have been dealing with a apartheid fascist state for generations, even worse than an apartheid state. Like in the slavery era, that was like they have been in an abusive narcissistic relationship with the government for generations, since the first person unwillingly stepped foot on this land. They have studied their abusers, because that's what you have to do. When you are a victim to an abuser, you have to study their every movement as a form of self-protection. And they have done that. They didn't have to learn it as they go when he took power in November. They already knew. What do you do when your abuser all of a sudden you hear him walking on the hallway and his footsteps are a little bit off? His breathing's a little bit off. You hide. You go and you hide in your closet. You go out the window and run. You get somewhere safe. They have gone somewhere safe. They're not, resting is not passive. That is not passive protest. That is active protest. And it is working more than anything else that has been being done. It is more effective than I can think of anything else that is being done right now. Resting to me means staying home, saving your money, not spending your money at corporate stores, not, buying local, shopping at local stores, going to local restaurants, supporting local businesses, building community, saving your dollars.
Someone might ask themselves this question: why is it that some of these white folks are usually intimidated by black excellence? I know that's a deep question, but I'm just going to be answering you on the surface. You understand when you pillage, you understand when you take everything from a person, and you thought that you've had them so good, and you thought that they can never wake up from that. But again, you see them wake up and win you despite everything that you've done to them. And this is a white person. Remember, during slavery, when white folks took everything from black people still sprouted up. They sprouted up and came much better. And as a result, they started creating their own cities. And this shows you the resilience that it is in the blood, that is in the DNA of black people. And you understand the resilience that has made black people become the champions until right now. One thing that people cannot fathom, especially some white folks cannot fathom, is that how come despite all the difficulties that black people are always having, yet you still see black people still manage to have a smile on their face. Black people can still manage to put a food on the table despite all these challenges that are happening, right? It is because when you think that you've hired someone real good, but they just prove you that in as much as what you do to them, they still rise. In as much as you take everything from them, they still wake up and still create wealth and still do great things in the same land and soil that you live. And so there is a psychological phenomenon that is associated with white people being intimidated or being enraged when they see black people doing good in especially areas that they don't expect black people to thrive or black people to do real good, right? And we have seen this in moments like in music. We have seen this in different career paths that people don't expect black people to excel. But as a result, still, people see black people come out and excel so much good than expected. So brothers and sisters, I want us to watch this video. As you know, I'm your host and presenter, Generic Stories. And if you're watching me for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership, and really get to what I can offer you. And for those always coming back and watching my videos, man, I'm really, really grateful for the support that you're trying to give me. But until then, let's watch the video. I'll be back, and then I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. So let's watch. I'll be back.
We brought down Target, and that was 100% led by black people, by the black community, 100%. We made Disney come to their knees with just money in a weekend. Like, that is where it hits them where they hurt. We do not need people in the streets being violent. If you feel the call to be out there marching, go march. do what you feel called to do, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about they wanted summer of 2020 visuals, and they didn't get it. Summer's over. They never got those visuals. I guarantee they have some strategy book and they're like, summer of violence, martial law, we can bring troops in everywhere. Every time they bring troops in somewhere that is shown to be peaceful, people wake up. Every time somebody wakes up. It's a snowball. So people that are resting are literally doing the most right now. So thank you for everyone that engaged with that post and are commenting on it. Those comments are literally like, I'm glad I've introduced some people to the term gray rocking. I'm glad I've put words to what people have been feeling, and that people in the Black community are validating that, like, finally a white lady gets it. Because that literally makes me emotional. Nothing makes me more emotional than getting validation from, especially a Black woman. If you come in my comments and say, you get it, I get emotional every time. So thank you for that. Because you all know, nobody knows most besides, like, the smartest, most aware people in the world are Black women, and you will never change my mind on that. Because they have to be, and they are. So thank you for validating my last post, because that's how I've been feeling about it ever since I first saw people saying we're sitting this one out. That has meant a lot. Like that moved me a lot.
We must never forget that economics was the reason that
think that there could be a situation sent to me that could break me. I grew up black in a small white city with a stepdad that used to get me to say white power in front of his friends. I got two racist white grandparents and I went to an all-girls school. I just don't think that you can break me. The mental resilience that it takes to go through that, you just couldn't.
I want you all to remember that this system, the United States system, is not all powerful, nor is white supremacy. As a matter of fact, white supremacy is going to bring this system down, at least in my opinion. And as you think they got it sewn up, not enough people are doing anything, I want you to remember these words. We, black people, are still here. They began to aggressively start colonizing Africa in the 1420s, and we are still here. Between the 1420s and the 1800s, they murdered hundreds of millions of people in Africa, and we are still here. Across this planet, the Europeans enslaved us for more than 600 fucking years, and we are still here. The place that was first the colonies and now the United States enslaved us for 400 years, and we are still here. Germany tried its genocide that it did on the gypsies and the crippled and the LGBTQ and the Jewish people. They first did it in Africa, and we are still here. In this country alone, we went through Jim Crow, segregation. And the problem when people say segregation, they seem to think, oh, it was just a separate but equal thing. No, it was violent, it was chaotic, and we are still here. They formed this thing called the Klan that swept across the country. White folks was joining that thing everywhere. And they lynched us practically every day since 1868 until about 1968. We are still here. Police violence, assassinations, destroying our towns, stealing our inventions, trying to starve us out. They didn't give this country universal health care because not only were they afraid that black people would get it too, but they figured if they didn't and added copay to everything, we would die out. We are still here. America was not the first place or the only place to sterilize our women, and we are still here. They have tried everything. They want to get rid of us badly or subjugate us badly. And we are still here. Now in America, the worst of the Caucasian persuasion is going through backflips to find excuses to unalive black people, people who disagree with them, the LGBTQ, trans. But to black people, I'm not saying that trans, LGBTQ, the rest of them are not resilient. But I think we're going to survive them. First off, the truth of the matter is, I'm not looking for white allies. But I do realize that not enough white people agree with their agenda. The powers that be want these white supremacist groups to start attacking us. They want MAGA to start offing people in droves. And I don't think they're going to get away with it. I want you to defend yourself. Not simply because I want people to live, but also because the only way we are going to stop them is to fight back and take them out. To let them know the price of their white United States ethno-state will be, you're going to have to bleed for it. If you want to change this country into this weird paradise that never existed, fight us. And that's the only thing that's going to push them back and stop them. But I think they're going to try. I think a lot of us are going to be unalived. But I also am thoroughly convinced, because I know history, that no matter what they do short of dropping a nuke, we will still be here. And so before you think they are all powerful, I want you all to remember that no matter what they've done to us, we are still here, and we will still be here because they're not supreme, they're not superior, they're not the default anything. They're losers. Because if they had their way, we would not be here. And we are. Try to remember that no matter how bad it gets.
Hey family, I'm still thinking about the executive order Trump wants to sign to sanitize Black history. It makes you question, why Black history? Why not Native American history? Why not Jewish history? Why is the target Black people? And it's because of guilt and also fear. Guilt because you know within yourself that you hold some, you don't even know why you hate or dislike Black people, some of you white folk. It's just inherited. It's been passed down, right? It is guilt because you know that part of your ancestry participated in some form of Black oppression. If it wasn't slavery, maybe it was lynching, maybe it was something else. Maybe it was racist practices on the workplace, or redlining, or even lending when it came to mortgages. But there's a guilt there. Secondly, there's a fear. Fear, not that Black people are going to harm you, but fear because you know that we are amazing, resilient people. You can't figure us out. That's the key. White folk, you cannot figure us out. You sit up late at night thinking, how is it that these people still endured? When we enslaved them, they fought to be free. When we wouldn't educate them at our universities, they started their own universities. When we wouldn't allow them to be doctors, they started their own medical schools and got education. And excelled in far than your own white folk. But yet, we don't stop. You wouldn't sell us homes or properties, but we still kept, and now we own homes. Hell, now some of us even own our own real estate firms. You can't keep us down. That's what you fear. You fear Black resilience.
Why am I a Black conservative? We never get asked this question. All we get is being threatened, bullied, and insulted for being a Black conservative. But I'm going to tell you why. It's because I was inspired to be, because of history. And when I say history, I'm talking about his story, my great-grandfather's story. When I was young or so, just like every other kid, we went to go stay with our grandparents, which was my great-aunt and my great-uncle at the time, but they were just like grandparents to me. Well, her father, which was my great-grandfather, lived there. And every day, I would ask him to play a game of checkers because I was persistent in trying to beat him, in which I never did. One particular day, I asked my great-grandfather, was he a slave? I guess I caught him off guard because he sat back and he looked at me and he asked me, why did I ask him that? And I said, because you're old. And at that time, in my young little mind, it was taught to us that every Black person in America was a slave. He looked at me, he made his move in checkers, and he answered me with, no, he was not a slave. Then he began to tell me his story, history. So born in 1889 in the deep South Texas, his parents were tenant farmers, what we call sharecroppers. But see, my great-grandfather's decision to seek more out of life changed the trajectory of our family's history today. He never saw himself as a victim. When he was a young boy, he attended a church, which was a school. Many of the churches back then during that time were also schools. So he attended there and he got inspired by his teacher to go to Tuskegee University. She mentored him and she helped shape his interest into attending Tuskegee University under the direction of Booker T. Washington. One of his renowned professors there, while he was in attendance at Tuskegee, was George Washington Carver. In 1912, my great-grandfather graduated with the engineering degree from Tuskegee. Now, we're talking about Jim Crow era at this point, deep in the South. He came back from Tuskegee University. Then he became a builder, engineer. He built farm equipment, which was called the cotton gin, the sugarcane gin during that time. But nonetheless, they were farm equipment. He built it for that area. Not only did he do that, he was also a math professor. He taught school. All at the same time, he's still working as an engineer. Not only that, he became a landowner. he owned over 100 acres of land. We still own this land in our family today. That's history. Not only that, he has 7 children with his wife, and he put all 7 of his children through college. We're talking about Jim Crow era. They all graduated and became teachers and professors and principals themselves during a time where they integrated schools. That's history. I myself graduated from a high school where my uncle, which was my great-grandfather's son, was the first black principal at that school. That's history. See, one thing that I learned from my great-grandfather's stories, his story that he was telling me, is that he did not use the plight of black people during that time as an excuse for upward mobility, that he couldn't attain upward mobility. They have resiliency. And that is what the black conservatives out here are telling you. It's your choice to look at history and use it as your victimhood, or look at history and use it as resiliency. And that's just my great-grandfather's story. I have many stories in my own family that have made history. But nonetheless, because I don't want this video to be long, I do want black conservatives to start a trend in telling their family's history. It used to be a time where we had family reunions and we will learn each of our own family's history. Because my history of my great-grandfathers isn't the only one. There are many black families still existing today that owns land from hundreds of years ago, still existing today, that has the same story. So if we continue to start...
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you're doing great from wherever you're watching me from. As you know, I'm your host and presenter Ejidok Stories, and welcome to the show. Now, there is something that I want to talk about that I feel like it's so much important. You understand, and I've said this for a long period of time, there is so much sabotage that have been done in the black community. But despite all those challenges, despite all those stereotypes, black people still wake up and still raise the flag. They're still the trailblazers, right? Blazers. And you understand how they come from difficulties, but they still manage to put a smile on their face. This is because there's a resilience DNA in black people. And I'll show you that there is a resilience DNA in the bloods of black people. Remember, during transatlantic slave trade or during slavery, black people were put through harsh conditions. A condition that a human being could not survive, but we still had lots and thousands of black people that were shipped with those shipping conditions. How bad it was. Black people survived. Black people came out of that, and black people went and still did better in the United States. They did good as compared to the people, as compared to their slave masters, and over time, black people have been proving that they can do good. Remember, after all this slavery, there was abolition of slavery, and black people started working for themselves. Black people started developing their own economic activities. But white folks came and sabotaged. When you look at history from the Tulsa, Oklahoma, Philadelphia, and any other black economic city that was being built during that time, you understand how they did away with all these places because they could not support, they could not afford to see black people rise. They could not afford to see black people rise great as compared to them. And this is something that has been happening. They don't want black people to excel. They don't want to see black people happy. And this is something that has been always there for the longest time. We are talking about it today. And I've addressed this, and I've showed you anytime people are not seeing black people not complaining about the cost of living, it bothers them. And that's why they'll come and ask you, why am I not seeing black people complaining about all these things? Why am I not seeing black people complaining about the cost of living? It is because they cannot fathom the fact that black people are so much resilient. Today, we are seeing a lot of white people complaining about the cost of living. Of course, we have I'm seeing a lot of white folks that are complaining about the cost of living. But of course, we are seeing a couple of black people. But when you try to look at the ratio, you see that we have a lot of white people in the platform that complain so much about the cost of living. Yet, this is something that is also happening to black Americans. It's happening to everyone in the United States. The economic recession that is going on in the United States is affecting everybody. But what group of people are we seeing so much coming out and complaining about all this? And this shows you the resilience that black people has is something which is so much priceless. And I think that there should be a study about this. There should be a study about the resilience that a black person has. This is something that needs to be studied. It is something that still fathoms a lot of white people. Despite centuries, despite years of discrimination, despite years of intimidation, despite 500 years of suppression, we are still seeing black people rising at the top. And this leaves questions. How come they are still making it at the top? It baffles so much white people. And that's why I'm telling you, this is something that needs to be studied. This is something that needs to be looked into deeply. Right? Imagine a person taking everything from you, but you still, all the above, you still rise. All the above, you still rub it on their face. All the above, you still tell them, I got this still. Right? And black people have been showing their prowess, their powers, their knowledge, their technology, their artistry, their talent, their music, their language. These all things black people have been showing to the world. And you know what? White people still can't believe. They're still asking themselves, but how are they still doing this despite everything that we have put them through, that our ancestors have put them through, despite the structures that still favor us, despite the lies of meritocracy of the United States? How comes that still we have black people that are rising? How come that we still have black people that are making it to the top? Still baffles them until right now. And so as a result, I saw something really important, and I wanted to look into it on what really black people are trying to say about this. Some people say that I'm trying to look at the comment. So somebody's saying, look, I'm so tired of seeing white folks asking why black people won't get involved. First of all it's white folks doing is to white folks. We don't want any part of that. Second, we are supposed to avenge our oppressors, right? Third, black people, it's a setup. Leave this stuff alone, and I propose that we just go silent, do not comment or anything anymore. Watch and pray. Somebody's also saying that I stand with the black people. Black people, you are winning the race and you are not running. Black people, you doing nothing, but you are doing something. Black people, you are strong and you are resilient. Black people, do not let anyone silence your vote. Black people, do not let these individuals scare you with words. Black people, do not let anyone silence your voice by taking away your vote. Black people, do not complain, and you all know how to survive when times are hard. Black people, don't let anyone make a fool out of you. Black people, your silence is driving some crazy. Black people, silence is gold. That's a really great comment, and it resonates with what I've been trying to say about all these issues, because at the end of the day, it is the resilience that these people admire. It is the resilience that they want, that they cannot get, but you have it, and it baffles them. How come you still manage to keep up with all this despite all those challenges that are happening, right? And so I don't want to say much, but please let me know what you feel and think about this, because I'm your host and presenter, Unique Stories, and we need to have a discussion in regards to all these issues. So brothers and sisters, until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony.